Some people did not like my last Iceberg video. Now don't get me wrong, most people did, some people however didn't. Too much speedrunning tech, yeah, okay. Well, BFPB and speedrunning are synonymous. When you think of one, you think of the other. That's why the Iceberg was so different from the others. But I will be the first one to admit there were some missed opportunities. As a matter of fact, since then I have been alerted to a larger, more diverse Iceberg, and today I'm going to cover that one, some topics I didn't get around to in the first one. Anyway, with that being said, enjoy the video. Slapping Leaf. Ever since I was a kid, the strange leaf at the beginning of Kelp Forest had always been somewhat of an enigma. On one hand, a lot of people think the leaf was a scrapped enemy that was supposed to be in the entirety of Kelp Forest, and the developers accidentally left it in at the beginning. Others think it's a hidden jump rope minigame. Me, being more cynical, just thinks it's a stupid thing that the developers were messing around with. It definitely is one of a kind, that's for sure, and something to put some thought into. Robot Squidward boss fight. A lot of people know that some of the cut content in BFPB made it into Rehydrated. In this case, the Robot Squidward boss fight was originally planned to be one of the major fights during the original game, and concept art can be found inside the theater. The fight shows SpongeBob doing platforming to reach buttons, which would activate the boulders to damage Squidward's tentacles, disabling him and opening up for an attack. While the fight was added in Rehydrated, it's just a part of the multiplayer, and we all pretty much know the multiplayer may just be the single worst part of that entire game. Impossible Tikis. Before I talk about this, a friend of mine, JBHJ, has an outstanding video on these. Also, it's really funny. I legit laughed like 3 times, I think. Anyway, the first thing that comes to mind is the actual Impossible Tiki placed in the Flying Dutchman's graveyard. This one cannot be destroyed, as it wasn't given any collision. That is, unless you enter from the Flying Dutchman's ship backwards. Then it works as intended. That is very strange, and it's the only Tiki in the entire game to act like this. Springboard sign underneath the lighthouse. A sign that is clearly not supposed to be in the game simply lets you know about some trampolines bouncing you higher than others depending on if you slam on them or not. The only trampoline with this property in the entire game is the one behind the carnival stands at the Goo Lagoon Pier. Reused umbrella. So you know that button in Goo Lagoon? Yeah, you hit it as Patrick and it comes up, and yeah, turns out that button's actually resting on an umbrella, but upside down to give the illusion of a completely unique property they included. This can be discovered by traveling out of bounds underneath the level and checking it out for yourself. Goo Lagoon Quicksand. During your trek through Goo Lagoon, SpongeBob will run into some children he has to save or drown from Mrs. Puff. During this task, however, you'll find yourself running into wooden logs that sink into the sand. Oddly, it's just the wooden logs that sink and not SpongeBob himself. Moving over to the goo, the same property is clear, though this time a lot more threatening. Squidward's clarinet. Right outside of Squidward's house, someone can be heard inside playing a clarinet. Once inside, there's no clarinet to be found. In the SpongeBob's Dream level, Squidward's Dream holds a giant cutoff of Squidward's head alongside playing the clarinet. Sock in movie theater. In terms of extra items in BFPB, the only ones that come to mind are the duplicated crab spatulas you can get, and the one duplicated sock in Sand Mountain, both that aren't the easiest to get. So no, there is no sock in the movie theater. Using lag clipping, you can clearly see an empty theater. Rehydrated, however, does have a sock in the theater, but this isn't a Rehydrated Iceberg. It's kind of strange this is even here. Let's just do the next one. Beta Tikis. In the theater, you can find a screenshot of some of the early Tiki models. Sandy Tail Slide. Another beta feature, in the theater you can find a screenshot of Sandy sliding on her tail instead of her clam board. Patrick is suicidal. When obtaining the Patrick's Dream Challenge, it is possible for there to be no music. I'm sure this is where it stems from. The whole area is creepy enough, but without the music it's pretty eerie. Patrick is pretty bummed too. SpongeBob won't accept his reward. Poor Patrick. Plankton uses Plan Y in BFBB to steal the secret formula. Okay, this is going to be the last one. It's definitely the best on this Iceberg. Before I continue, I understand icebergs are rumors, legends, beta stuff, strange things in general. But look at some of these. These aren't even talking about the game. These are just, stupid. Maybe SpongeBob in general, but not in the game. Okay, with that being said, Plankton using Plan Y in this game makes a lot of sense. The movie game came out roughly a year after this one, and as everyone knows, Plankton used Plan Z in that game and movie. It holds a lot of weight to it, you know, considering Plan Z is so over the top and crazy, and Plan Y is almost just as out there. I think this one is pretty accurate. Thank you for watching part 2 of the BFBB Iceberg. I know the first part was definitely more speedrun oriented because this game and speedrunning are synonymous, like I said before. This part was a little more creative, I suppose. It definitely wasn't as good as the first one. Anyway, that'll do it for today's upload. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.